Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more freshly brewed drag tea. Today, I have with me a stunning Aussie queen who charmed us all with her beauty, charm, and humour on season 1 of Drag Race Down Under. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn about her amazing journey in drag. We'll, of course, be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. So please join me in welcoming the always stunning Coco Jumbo!
Hi, everyone!
Hi, how are you?
I am great. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I love the outfit, the bow and the background.
That's a little pussy bow.
I love it. You're looking stunning as always.
Thank you.
Very fresh-faced, and I know lots of people were very excited to hear from you, and obviously I loved you on the show, and I'm sure so many other people loved you as well, so it'd be lovely to kind of get to know you a bit more and hear maybe some backstage stuff about the show as well.
Well, you know me, I love to spill a little bit of tea.
You've come to the right place.
Amen. This is such a safe space. I love it.
So I was just wondering if you could first of all sort of tell us a little bit about how you got started in drag.
Well, I grew up in a little place north of Sydney called Coffs Harbour, and I would have been like 19 or so, and there was a drag night at the local pub, and like old men would like dress up and like wear their like something from an op shop and like a thrift store, and put on like a tinsel wig and then get up and like dance to Turn Back Time by Cher. And a friend of mine who had lived in Sydney beforehand and knew like had seen drag, like came over to my house and was like, do you know what, girl? Like we could totally do that. Like we could split the prize money if we get it, and like let's just give it a red hot go and go for it. And then we did, and my mum put me in drag for the first time. She did my makeup. She tried to glue my lashes on. Oh my God. Triggered already. But yeah, I went up on stage and did a couple of numbers and then made it to the grand finale, did a couple of more numbers, and then I won.
Oh, wow.
Didn't split the prize money.
Well,
the friendship went a little bit sour. She got a little bit jealous.
Well, I mean, that's amazing that your mum put you in drag for the first time. Like, that's like a super supportive and like great mum.
Totally. Like, my mum's a hairdressing teacher, so she'd been like around queer people for like most of her life. So, and my older brother is gay as well, who also like since me being in drag has also taken up drag as well.
So you're a trailblazer, I guess.
Literally.
Oh, that's lovely. You know, it's lovely that you've got like a support base and everything. And so that's lovely. And I mean, obviously it's got to where you are now. So, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I was just wondering, obviously Coco Jumbo is a great name. Where does that come from?
Actually, my brother and I were kind of talking about it before I went on to this drag competition, because I wanted to be like something chocolatey. I wanted to be like Ferrero Rocher or like I don't know. I had no idea. And then as we were talking about it, the 90s song by Mr. President, yeah, 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 Coco Jumbo, yeah, 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 was playing in the background. And then like we just like silence happened, and my brother was like, oh my God, what about this song? And then like it said Coco Jumbo. I'm like, yes, that is great. Like, absolutely. Like, I'm a coconut. I'm from Fiji and I'm huge. So like, why not?
Wow, that's great. That is, I mean, it's a great name. And it also, like you said, it makes sense and everything. And it also just sounds great as well. It sounds so satisfying.
I feel like it found me as well.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you just heard it on like, you know, the radio or whatever, and you were just like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Great. And so obviously you mentioned before about having like Fijian background and stuff. Has that kind of, do you think, shaped your drag in any way?
Do you know, I think it's let me sort of explore my feminine side. Like in Fijian culture, or like in most Islander cultures, if there's a family with too many boys, they'll raise one to be more like a woman, because like in like like olden day or like old fashioned wise or whatever, the men go out and they do their work and the women take care of home. So if there's too many boys in the family, there's nobody there to help mum like prepare dinner and stuff like that. So I think like me being more like feminine, like running around, like just being like girly, trying to glue like skewers onto my fingernails so I have fingernails. Like I think everyone was fine with it.
Well, that's nice. And it's lovely that you also get to like your name itself, but also the way you present yourself, like celebrates your culture. And it also is just obviously like your stunningness just comes out anyway, and it kind of works with it.
Totally, yeah.
And so obviously, then you find that you're on a little show called Drag Race Down Under, and it was the season 1. So obviously, I'm assuming maybe I think I read somewhere. Is it true that you didn't actually know that you had got onto the show?
It was so secretive. Like I was first messaged on Instagram, so like I didn't really like Drag Race was not what I thought it was at all, and going through the audition process, they never really said like what it was for. All I knew was that it was being filmed in New Zealand. So the whole time I thought I was auditioning for the House of Drag that Kita and Anita host. So it wasn't until I was doing the Zoom meeting and like just being like la la la, like talking about everything. And they're like, so what would you do for Snatch Game? I was like, that's a RuPaul thing. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, is this for Drag Race? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Can we start again, please? And they're like, no, this is fine. I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing.
Oh. That's so funny that you didn't even know it was for Drag Race.
I suck at reading emails.
But I guess, yeah, hearing Snatch Game was probably like, a bit of a hint, I suppose.
The first giveaway, yeah, so absolutely. I picked up on it straight away.
Well, so I actually, not that long ago, I interviewed Anita wigl'it, who obviously was on your season. Yeah. And obviously she was also one of the hosts of House of Drag. But she said that she had a similar experience, that she didn't know that obviously she knew it was not House of Drag because she's on the show and she was auditioning. So, but she said that they just sort of said, oh, here's like the list of outfits. And she was like, oh, am I on the show? And they were like, yeah. And it was almost like, so I think maybe they were just like that with everyone.
100%. Yeah. It was different for us because we were asked to be a part of it. So like, but like, we didn't know what we were asked to be a part of. We were just like, yeah, absolutely. Another booking, would love to.
And it was the season 1, so it's like the cool that you are part of like the history of you will be always on the first season of that franchise.
As Maxie says, we're the OGs.
Definitely. And so then obviously, what did it feel like walking in the doors the first day on Drag Race?
It was so like out of this world. Like I've watched like so many seasons of Drag Race. I've never actually thought of what it would be like on the other side of the camera. And like everything was so secretive. I had we had just finished 2 weeks of quarantine and an extra week of like isolation because I think Raven was she wasn't there yet or something, which is why RuPaul wasn't in drag for the first episode. But so like I'd been alone for like 3 weeks and get like taken down to this van, and as soon as I arrived to the studio, I had to put like earplugs in, and like so I couldn't, even though I could still hear Art Simone, but the earplugs were in, and then they ushered me out, and they're like, okay, like as soon as we say go and do your thing. I was like, oh my God, okay, and like it was just so like this is it. Like I'm about to walk onto RuPaul's Drag Race. And then like walked out, said my line, and then all the girls just reacted and like, oh my God, Jumbo! And like started cheering, and they're like, cut, girls, be quiet. Coco, can you do that again, please? So then when so I had to like do it a second time, and like they had to be a little bit more like hush hush.
Oh, that's so funny that like, yeah, I mean, I guess we all know that things have to like they do retakes and stuff, but funny to know, I guess it's nice to know that you had to retake because they were cheering too much for you. I suppose that's a nice.
Yeah. And like I think like, I'm pretty sure I'm like friends with all of them. The only people I didn't know were the girls from New Zealand. So I felt like I was in good company.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. It seemed to me like pretty much everyone knew everyone apart from maybe the New Zealand queens, because although some people did know them because of House of Drag, I think.
House of Drag, yeah.
So you knew everyone apart from the three New Zealand queens.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's nice, I guess, that I went in and people knew you and you felt maybe more like you had a support base, but also I guess maybe did you also feel slightly intimidated because you knew how good the queens were maybe as well?
I went in there and I just didn't feel a sense of competition. Like I didn't like the gravity of the situation hadn't hit yet. Like in my mind, like I'd just been locked away for 3 weeks. And then I was just coming out, I'm like, oh my God, sisters, like, yes, like, let's kiki, let's have a good time. And wow, like this pink, like this room is pink. Like, what's going on? And why are these cameras there?
Yeah, it must be, I can't imagine, it must just be such a weird experience. I guess also it was weird for all of you because you had to do quarantine, especially the Australian queens, because you had to fly over.
Yeah.
Many other seasons would have that because of COVID as well. So it must be.
I think the season 2 girls did, but not for as long as we did. I think they were in quarantine for like a week or so.
Yeah, because I think that really must like mess with your head a little bit and like affect your kind of your confidence or your kind of the way you're thinking, and that's tough.
Definitely, because like I like walking into a room full of like sisters, like I just wanted like to talk and like kiki and like be like, oh my God, babe, like how you been? Like work's like ruined, like but good to see you. But we're only allowed to have one conversation at the table at all times, and of course Art Simone dominated it all. So it was impossible to get like a word in. But then when the cameras weren't rolling, we weren't allowed to talk to each other. So I was like, oh, like I didn't know where to put my energy to. So like, yeah, it was a bit of a kerfuffle for me.
I can imagine, yeah. And obviously you talked about sort of Art Simone dominating the conversation. Because she was first in, so obviously because you kind of came in sort of halfway through or whatever.
Yeah.
When you saw Art Simone, did you kind of think like, oh God, like this is going to be sort of a big
Definitely. I just found on my phone the other day, like a recording of me like on the phone to the producers before I even left. And I had just been told like that I was like on the show and they had asked me like who I thought would be in there. And I was like, oh, like probably Minnie Cooper, Maxi Shield, Anaconda, Art Simone, Karen from Finance, definitely. Like, and then so like as soon as I saw her, like I was like, yeah, knew it. And then later on when Karen walked in, I was like, yes, knew it. I love like ticking like the boxes.
Well, like I guess also, I mean, I guess so. I guess the New Zealand drag scene, sorry, Australian drag scene is kind of compared to maybe the States is a lot smaller. So I guess everyone kind of knows, especially the big names.
Yes, so, definitely.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't know many of the only queens I definitely knew were Karen from Finance because Trixie and Katia had mentioned her so many times.
Yes, her name. Yeah.
So I knew the name, and I think I'd heard of Art Simone, and then on season 2, obviously, Minnie Driver, I'd heard the name as well.
Minnie Cooper?
Minnie Cooper. Minnie Driver, someone else. Minnie Cooper, not Minnie Driver, someone else. I'd heard the name, but and so how long had you been doing drag by the time you got on Drag Race?
I think I'd been doing it professionally for like 6 or so years, maybe 7.
So did you feel quite confident going into it?
No, not at all, because I hadn't really worked outside of like this sort of little frame for like a year. So and like I went from before COVID, I went from working 6 nights a week to nothing. And like even now I'm still like trying to like get gigs back. But going on the show, I was like, oh my God, like when I got the yes, I was like, okay, where can I get money from? Where can I like pull all these like pieces from? And like being a larger like person, I can't like go up to other queens and ask them like if I can borrow things because nothing even fits. Even though Pamara tried it this season, I said absolutely not. All my good stuff's been seen on TV already.
That's so funny. Well, I guess, I can imagine it is difficult if you're not the same size as the other queens or whatever. And I guess also you don't necessarily want to show all of your stuff if you yourself haven't had a chance to show it or you have used it for shows since and stuff. Like if you've spent a lot of money. So one of the other things I wanted to ask was obviously, so in the first episode, you had to do 2 runways and you had to show where you're from. Well, you was born naked, and then you had to show about your hometown.
Yeah.
And so obviously for the born naked, you did this sort of like lips and eyes with the what they called the calamari, which I actually thought was quite cute. Like I actually quite liked it, to be honest. But what did you think about doing that when you first walked on the main stage and that's what you were presenting? How did you sort of feel about that?
Looking back, the thought was there. The execution was definitely not. But yeah, I'm not too sure if going on to Drag Race, Maxi and I have the same dressmaker, and it got to 2 weeks before leaving to come to Drag Race, and I messaged her and I was like, "Hey babe, like, do you need me for a fitting or anything? Like, what's going on?" She's like, "Oh, I haven't started yet." I'm like, "It's 2 weeks until I like get on the plane to go," and she's like, "Sorry, I haven't started it yet." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, can I come over and pick up my materials so I can like spread them out to other people like to get it done?" So like last minute I had a new team of friends like come to my aid and like help me like to get some new things and like present it on the show. And before actually like getting ready for that runway, it was just like loose pillows and like that I had to like pin. Like I use like kilt pins from etc. just to like pin them on me and try to make sure they're even. And it was our first runway, and like we were just getting told that we only have 2 hours to get ready, but like that's like makeup and get completely ready. And after the person put her nail through Scarlet's bodysuit, staff weren't allowed to help us at all. So we're like, okay, so we're in it for ourselves now. Thanks, Scarlet.
So wait, so you mentioned something about Scarlett's bodysuit, because on the show it looked like it just ripped. Did someone actually rip it with their nail then?
Yeah, one of the girls was helping her and helping her like pull it up, and their nail went through the latex, and then it just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't know if I ended up like stapling it or sewing it together, but far out, like so stressful. And we're all just looking at her face like, oh my God, girl. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, because on the show it looked like it just ripped naturally, but like so they obviously edited out the person like cut like with their nail accidentally.
Yeah, totally.
Well, with yours, I think for someone, obviously, if that we don't know any of the backstory of it not being done in time and everything. I think, like you said, maybe the execution wasn't quite there, but I really liked the idea and I thought it was cute because no one else did that kind of vibe.
Yeah. And like the story of like being in drag for so long and like more confident in drag than obviously as a boy. Like it was just my trying to way of like putting onto a runway how I feel about my drag and trying to hide behind it. As I'm sure like most people do.
Exactly. It was a cool concept. And then, but I think you definitely redeemed yourself, as the judges said as well, with your second look.
Totally.
So can you kind of like talk a little bit about the background of that outfit?
Well, because I grew up in Coffs Harbour, Coffs Harbour is like known for their plantations of bananas. And me moving to Sydney and starting at the bottom, I felt like I kind of climbed to the top of the drag scene here, like King Kong did the Empire State Building. So I was like, bananas, monkeys, my drag like story, like, yeah. So I just thought to do King Kong.
Yeah, and it was great, and it was a drag King Kong, and it was
yeah.
no, and you look stunning. It was, and you actually ate a banana on the main stage, so I think you're probably
Totally, and I completely forgot that RuPaul hates seeing drag queens eat.
That's what I was thinking. I'm pretty sure you're one of the. There's maybe a couple of queens that have eaten stuff on the main stage, but you must be like in quite a small group that have done that.
Actually, totally. I should do my research on that.
And so obviously, I think so. You were unfortunately in the bottom 3 for that week. I think more because of your first look, but then you were safe. So you were safe for that week. Did you expect to be safe that week?
I didn't expect. I wanted to be. I don't really expect things, but I knew that I was like manifesting like safe at least.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think your second outfit was like so good that I think it obviously sort of carried you through and everything. Even though the first outfit, like you said, maybe was the idea was there, so that I think you got points for that as well.
Yeah, totally. Thank God.
And so obviously you survived the first week, so which is great. You're not the first out. And then the second week was unusual because it was the Snatch Game, which was quite early for Snatch Game.
Who does that? The shade, straight up shade.
How did you feel about when you heard it was Snatch Game?
I feel like that's when I realized that we were on Drag Race. I was like, oh, like, but like, why? Like, is this a joke? Like, what are you doing to us? We like not even like we hadn't even wrapped our heads around like being on the show still, and then they like flopped Snatch Game onto us. And we're like, okay, yes, sir. All right, and we're just like looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the hardest challenges because it's also so iconic, so people's expectations are quite high.
High, yeah, and we hadn't even had a chance to settle in.
No, it's tough, I think. And obviously it was quite an interesting Snatch Game, as RuPaul said. I think it was some people did really well and then other people not so much. When you did Lizzo, and I think you had the look down and everything, and I think I could see that you just looked so nervous, and I felt so bad. I was like, I think she just looks like she hasn't quite settled in yet. And maybe if you had a few more weeks, you would have been a bit more settled.
Literally that. And like the seats that we were on were like those office chairs. And like, you know, when you pull the lever, it goes like right down. And Art and Karen were so high up on theirs. And I kept on like trying to like get my seat like right up. But the corset that I was in, I kept on like sliding around and sliding off it. So I couldn't be like as tall as those girls. Plus I was hiding the flute between my legs and I didn't want to drop it. So I was like, okay, like let's just try and like just be still, like instead of like squabbling around. But also that we had monitors that we could see ourselves with, and like every time like the camera would like pan past me, I'd like get a look like at the monitor. I just wasn't focused.
I think it's tough. I think it's one of the, like I said, one of the most difficult challenges. And I think if you choose a character and then you're stuck in it and you realize it's not working, there's not really anything you can do.
Literally, yeah.
So what made you choose Lizzo? Because I think that was quite a hard, I feel like that's maybe a hard role to play because
totally
she doesn't necessarily have like a catchphrase. Well, she has some, but not quite in the same way.
Yeah, like I guess like outside in the scene, like in like day-to-day life, I'm very like Lizzo's energy of like body positivity, and I am more of like a fun person, love to be like silly and like shake my ass about and have like, I'm a good time girl. But yeah, looking back on it, I wouldn't rely so much on personality. Like it's all about character and like how to characterize them. Yeah.
Did you have a backup that you would have done instead?
Well, my backup was going to be Kathy Freeman, who was like, she was
a runner or something.
Yeah, a runner that went to the Olympics. And I thought like it's been so long since like she's retired. And I was like imagining her now still trying to fit into the Olympic suit that she ran in, like have like busted seams and just like be real bad. But I was talking to JoJo and she was going to do it as well. So I was like, okay, well, better not then. But then JoJo was eliminated, so could have. But then, like, I don't even know, like, the whole, like, thing about, like, it could have been, like, cultural appropriation because she's Aboriginal and I'm Fijian, so it's a...
Yeah, it's difficult, yeah, definitely. And I think whoever you pick, unless it's someone who's really iconic and has lots of catchphrases, it's really difficult. And it's, you know, I think you had at least, because Lizzo was just so famous, I guess that helps with an international audience, because maybe Kathy Freeman, not as many people would know her.
Exactly, yes.
I only know who she is because I watch Kath and Kim, and they talk about her in Kath and Kim.
Right, so, of course.
So obviously, unfortunately, you were in the bottom that week for Snatch Game, and then you had to lip sync against Art Simone. Mm-hmm. How did that feel going against Art Simone?
I was confident. And because like they had given us like 2 songs which like it might be. I forget what the second song was. But I guess we both wanted that to have the second song. But I like years ago, Art came to Sydney to do like one of the amateur drag nights where like everyone gets up on stage and they perform, and then the audience like will applause for who they want to win. And Art came, she looked amazing, was incredible, but I was still the audience favorite, and I won. So I had that confidence of like, I've beat her before, I can do it again, sort of thing. And plus I've seen a lot of her shows, and I like haven't like, my looks aren't as good as Art Simone's, but her performance aren't as good as mine. I'll say that.
It was definitely like the lip sync was really good, and I think when I was watching it, I wasn't sure because Art Simone's just so sort of famous. I was like, oh, are they going to like keep her because she was so high in the first week? But then when you did your lip sync, I was like, oh no, like Coco's winning because you were so good. Yeah. So how did it feel then when they announced that Art was leaving and you were staying?
Well, when she walked off, she like full broke down and like cried, and like my heart broke because I was like, oh, like unlike myself, she's been preparing for Drag Race for so many years. Like Drag Race for her was like her goal, and it wasn't mine. But I hurt because I just took that away from her. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, it must be difficult to know that someone else is leaving so you can stay. But at the end of the day, you beat Art Simone. I mean, you mentioned it on the show. You went, well, at least I beat Art Simone.
It sucks being the third to leave. I still beat Art Simone.
Yeah, no, and it was a great lip sync. And I think, and also that, I mean, her elimination, you could tell I think they cut it out just before she started crying when she was walking off. You could tell she was upset. But the bit where she was in, she was doing the mirror message, and then she does the thing where she says, that means nothing.
You were here.
That means nothing.
That was just, I remember watching that being like, oh my God. That was like, and that was real. That was real. Good Lord. And because they didn't even bring out cocktails until after I was like eliminated. So that was like pure 100% Aussie art.
It was, I mean, obviously not great for her, but it was an iconic moment. And that meme of her, like
she,
in that
she swapped it around. She made it work for herself.
She did. And so obviously, so then you survive and then you go to the next week. How did you feel going into the girl group challenge? I guess having been in the bottom twice, did you sort of feel quite confident about the girl group bits?
Yes, I was pretty confident. Like I've sung before and like wasn't anywhere as bad I was on this particular day. So I was feeling confident, and I'm a performer, so I was like ready to give it a red hot go and give it my all.
Yeah, and I think your group, there were two groups, obviously. I think your group, when you search on Google for that song, Queens Down Under, your group is the only one that comes up. Like you have to search for the other one. So I think,
oh wow,
yeah, like someone, I don't know, someone on YouTube's put up your groups. And I think because your groups had like good, like kind of really good choreography, and you also had some really iconic verses, yours comes up first. And it also comes up first on iTunes, I think, as well.
Well, I think that says it all.
And also, I don't know if you've seen, but on the YouTube video of your team's performance, quite a lot of the comments say that you should have been in the top that week and that your verse was actually really good.
Well, I like it gives me so much anxiety. Like when it was aired, like hearing "Oh my god, gay girly god,"
Oh my god, gay girly god,
like just triggered me something hard, and I feel because I was eliminated on that, I was horrible. And like being a drag queen, I'm not used to being like told that I'm bad, if that makes sense. So like, and to actually get kicked off, I was like, well, there's the proof in the pudding. Like I must have been like really bad. And then everyone hears it, but everyone's like, oh my god, like it's good. Like yours is the only verse I remember. Or, like it's so catchy. And yeah, like lots of people have said to me that it's like it was their favorite verse on the show, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like I don't like it.
I liked it. I thought it was, and also because you kind of sang rather than rapped for the whole thing. I think
the whole reason why I did sing was because like when we got the track the day before, and I totally didn't even think like we're gonna have the singing challenge next. It said like sing, rap. Oh wait, rap, sing. So like I was just like following what was like told to like do, but like everyone else was rapping. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that. Turns out you can.
Do whatever you want.
Totally, break the rules.
I liked your verse, and I think a little bit like Roxy Andrews in the Read You Wrote You, I think yours kind of became iconic because it was just so different.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and that's the way I see it as well.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So obviously, unfortunately, you did fall in the bottom in week 3, and then obviously you had to lip sync against Elektra Shock, or Alexis, as you call her.
And Alexis. Did I say Alexis?
Cam, I'm not good with names. What can I say?
But yeah, so did you expect to be in the bottom that week?
No, I didn't. I thought because like Backstage, they let us watch the other girls do the thing, and I thought like, oh, I didn't know that we were going to be judged separately. First off, and I definitely thought that call me biased, but I thought our group did definitely do a little bit better than the others. But I thought like maybe Karen or Maxi would have been in the bottom for sure. And I thought Elektra's performance would have like kept her on the top as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely, I was really surprised by the results. But obviously, you looked stunning in your both of the performance, but the runway as well. But both the outfits were, I thought, so good.
Thank you.
They didn't get because it was sort of like underwater theme, wasn't it? And that was
for Snatch Game.
Sorry, yes, I'm getting confused. It was the other, yes. But I really thought the performance outfit was the purple number with the bow.
Yeah.
And I thought that was stunning. Like that color is just like, mwah, I loved that color. Did you feel confident in that element of it? Did you think maybe that would carry you through to be safe or whatever?
Well, like when we're getting ready and looking around the room, I was like, a lot of people don't understand what prom is.
Yeah.
Like I was getting that sort of vibe, and maybe they'll rely on the bogan a little bit too much. But like all I knew about about prom was like movies like Romy Michelle's High School Reunion and like those sort of like teen like American movies. So like I knew the material was in the right place, and to make it bogan, I was like what's more bogan than like being a slut, like sucking off guys in the, in the bushes or wherever. And which was like another like Romy and Michelle kind of reference, because like I'm pretty sure the character that says like off Toby, like she was the one like hooking up with guys during the prom anyway.
Yeah, I definitely got when it was like Bogan prom. I think definitely when I thought of that, I thought about like, you know, going into the bushes or whatever, and you had kind of like foliage in your hair. So I definitely got that. And also you had like a really short skirt, and it was kind of like, it did look promish. So I thought you actually kind of nailed it.
Yeah, thank you.
So obviously you lip sync against Elektra. Did you feel quite confident going into that, or did you think maybe, you know, how did you feel?
I did feel confident because I just watched her lip sync Tragedy with JoJo, and like I knew that she could do splits and everything, and like I can't, and that's fine. But like I'm a good teller with music, and it didn't make it on the final edit. But there was a part when like I spun around and I gestured up and then slammed her down just as she turned and jumped into a split. But like I almost like predicted what she was doing as she did it. So, but yeah, I was feeling confident in the lip sync as well, I guess. But that could just be me being cocky.
You got to be a bit cocky, you know.
Totally.
And so obviously, unfortunately, they did say that you had to sashay away. Did that surprise you then in the moment, because you thought you were quite confident in the lip sync, or?
Yeah, it did. And I was like, well, but do you know what? I swear, like I'm a big believer in like things happen for a reason, and I don't think that would have happened if Maxi took the extra couple of steps and gave me a kiss on each cheek and said, "Get it, sis." Because like there's like so much like footage of the episode, and like Maxi goes to Elektra and is like, "Mwah, good luck," and then just walks straight off stage, and I go to kiss and I'm like, oh. What the hell? But if Maxi did go those extra 2 steps, I would have been still in the competition.
We'll blame Maxi for it then.
Yeah.
And so when you left, obviously I'm assuming you felt like, you know, quite sad and everything, but also proud that you got on like this amazing show.
Totally, yeah.
When you left, did you have to actually leave straight away, or did you have to stay in quarantine until the end of the season?
They moved us to an Airbnb, which was like, after being like the gorgeous like cast hotel, I'm like, oh my God, this is so lush. And then I went to this Airbnb and they're like, oh, it's going to be 3 more hours until you can come in here. Like, we got to clean. I'm like, so like, what, did you not even know like we're coming? And like, I was like just being such a diva like straight away.
Well, you know, you got to keep going as you continue, you know, you intend to continue.
Totally.
Yeah, so obviously, how did you feel about your elimination once you had time to reflect on it? And then you saw it on TV as well, because obviously there's a long time between it happening, filming, and then it happening on TV.
Well, like, I didn't think the lip sync was bad. I thought like the show, like, take out like lip syncing for your life, the show that was put on like that stage in that moment was like awesome. And it just shocked me that either one of us, like, that were doing like that, like, great of a show could actually be in the bottom. It was like, it was confusing, and especially with other people telling me like, oh my God, like, we loved your lyrics. It was super fun and everything. So like, it left me confused, but I was still like, you know what, still made it on the show. Still kind of love it.
You know, and I think you should be so proud of yourself, because you made an impact when you were there. You were like, looked gorgeous every time and everything. And I think definitely to me, it definitely seemed like you were quite nervous the whole time, but you were still trying to be in a show. So you came like being genuine. Yeah.
So many people like came up to me, like that I know, like in the scene, and like that, like I performed like for so many times over the years. They're like, you just didn't seem like your natural self. Like, you're like usually so bubbly and loud and like crazy. And but I was like, yeah, it was just like I couldn't wrap my head around like being told to be quiet, and then when the like to not talk at all. So then the camera's being turned on, like go, like talk, and like being produced like in that sort of way was just very like nothing that I like any sort of environment that I've ever been in before.
Yeah, I
So
can
it's still
imagine.
adjusting. Yeah.
I can imagine it's tough, yeah. And I think you did really well, and you should be so proud of yourself that you got on the OG season of
Yeah.
and so obviously speaking of eliminations, there is a rumor that I wanted to address with you. So obviously, as we know, Art Simone came back unexpectedly into the competition in episode 4, which was the episode after you were there. And obviously, people couldn't really understand why she was brought back and not you, because obviously you technically had a better track record than she did. There's a rumor that apparently they lost the footage of her elimination and your lip sync, so you had to redo your lip sync. Can you confirm or deny?
Yeah, we did. And like I remember like being in that like awful Airbnb, and Jojo and I like went out for dinner. And I was like, where's Art? Like, have you heard from her? And he's like, oh, no, wait, with the lip sync. Okay. They had messaged me saying that they had lost the audio, I think it was. So we had to refilm the whole thing together. And then they sent me a photo of my look and my outfit, and got ready like at 5 o'clock in the morning, had to shoot that because they had the whole rest of the day to do what they usually do. But like we had to, I just thought it was the lip sync, but we had to walk the runway again, stand in the line, and like the producer like sat at the judges table and read like everything that the judges had said, and they needed our reactions, and like if we said something back, they were like, okay, this is what you said, say it again. So it ended up being like really long. And then we had to do the lip sync a couple of times because like, of course I knew that I had won. So I wasn't going like 110% like I did in the first one. And then they're like, Coco, we need more energy. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's how I did it on the day. And they're like, we need more. I'm like, oh, like, what am I gonna do? And then because like we'd filmed it a couple of times, when I walked off, like I think it was the last one, I walked off, I was like, sos bitch. And then like kept on walking. And then they kept that in.
That's so interesting. So just to sort of clarify, make sure I understand. So they lost the audio of your original lip sync. So you were brought back and you had to do not only the runway again, but also the entire lip sync. So what we saw on TV was actually your like third time doing it, not the first time.
That was our the lip sync was probably the third time. The judges, like our reaction to the judges was like our second time of doing it.
That is crazy. So because you must have known that you knew that you had won the lip sync, and I guess like you said, you probably weren't doing 100% what you've done the first time, because obviously lip syncs, the whole point is it's not choreographed, it's kind of in the moment a little bit. Is that
yes.
Bizarre? So obviously, so that's good to know that rumor is actually true. I think Art Simone actually spilt that herself, maybe, or it was rumored.
She tweeted that like as it happened. I was like, oh god! Like I think,
and then it was deleted.
The contract, you're allowed to do that.
But how did you feel about Art being asked to come back rather than you? Because at the time you tweeted saying, "Give the white girl another go; she deserves it." So how did you feel about it?
Well, like, I was a little bit like butthurt, of course, like that we weren't even like, it was just like, not like bring her back, like I want her, like no questions asked, let's bring Art Simone out of a trash can again. And like in like my life, I've always like, being a person of color, it's like all I've ever seen is like white people get ahead easier, and like it's just like the way things are and like have been. So like watching her get another second chance with no reason, I was like, all right, like if that's the way you want to play it. But like silly me, because I should have known from the beginning that she would be like coming back, because like when she left a note behind. And so like watch out, like they wouldn't have made like such a big deal about that if something already wasn't in the works.
Yes, I was going to ask you about the note actually, because that was something in the third episode. So the episode after you sent her home, you found this note on your station that said "watch out," and Art Simone has since said that it was like she confirmed that it was her in like a live performance and stuff.
Right.
What did you think? So did you know it was from Art, or you highly suspected?
No, I had no idea. I just suspected that it was her. Like it makes sense to have been. But I knew that she would have just like wrote it willy-nilly. Like she would have been told to.
Yeah. So do you think that she wrote it though, knowing that she was going to be brought back then?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Because I thought, she did a live performance where she talked about that it was her, and she was like joking that she did it in her favorite color and she wrote it with her left hand or something like, and she was just like, so I wasn't sure if she was doing it just to kind of screw with you a little bit, but it's interesting to know that maybe there was a bit more behind it.
Yeah. And because like apart from like that, like Art and I like have had very like little interaction with each other, so I don't think that she'd go out of her way to be like, watch out, like in what for?
Yeah, and I think your season actually had so much like drama and interesting like things that happen, or just like crazy stuff that I never saw coming. One of the things that happened after you left, sort of further on in the season, was obviously Scarlet. There was the whole like her performing in blackface, and she sort of admitted to it and had to apologize on the runway and stuff like that.
It's just come to my attention that there are photos of you online performing in blackface.
I can't deny that happened. I made some mistakes that I'm really not proud of. How
did you feel about that? So did you not know about it until you saw it on TV, or did you know about it before?
I didn't know about it until I was eliminated, and I went out with Jojo and a couple of the crew. Went out for like dinner, and they showed me photos, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like what's gonna happen?" And like she was saying that it's gonna be brought up in like the next couple of episodes. I'm like, oh, like watch out! Like cancel culture is real. Like cancel culture is real. Like she might get the big C, and lo and behold, she did. Like after it all happened, but like I feel like RuPaul, being a person of color, even though like she's not like Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander or like in the Australian sense, it's like for her to like I don't know if she forgives her, or like just said like moving forward, be better, be so much better. And like I feel like that's what we can do for someone. Like we can't judge people from their past and expect them to like go into the future like doing the same thing, because I believe that like that's not like what Scarlet's about. And now that she is educated,
so that'd be interesting, because obviously yourself, you're a person of color, so I think you definitely have a perspective on it that someone else, like for example me as a white person, I wouldn't talk about that because that's not for me to decide. So how do you feel? So you felt like you should like forgiveness then? That's how you felt about it?
Definitely. I like education and education and forgiveness. Like it, like the way she did it, like the photos that I've seen, that she was obviously like trying, like it wasn't in the right, like I don't know what kind of audience she was playing to, but I mostly like she obviously was in a place that she thought that it was okay. So I don't feel like she's the only one to blame. It should be like the venues that gave her that platform to do it, because like it wasn't like just once, it was like multiple times. And I feel like are they just letting her go up on stage in blackface just to like make a mockery of herself, or like they think that this is quality entertainment? And if she's getting applauded for it, what else is she supposed to think rather than like she's doing the right thing? So like, and like it being like however many years ago, like she definitely now of all times knows it's like absolutely like the wrong thing to do. And like times have changed, like comedy like has changed, and like we definitely don't joke about things that we used to like 5 years ago, like however many years. Yeah.
Definitely, like you said, and I think it's interesting to hear it was a very good point you made about it's not just her, it was also the club that booked her, the people in the audience that were cheering, they're all just as complicit as well, and focusing on her rather than everyone else. Obviously she needs to be accountable, and she did apologize, so I think it's not for me to say because it's not, I wasn't.
I think we all had to give out that apology video.
And obviously, so one thing I wanted to, we talked about this before we started the interview, I wanted to check that you were okay talking about it, was you were slightly involved in something where you were dressed in Asian dress and people were saying that you did Yellowface. So I just kind of wanted to, a lot of people in the comments asked me to ask you about it because they wanted to hear your opinion on it. So I just wanted to sort of ask you about that.
Well, first of all, my undertones in my skin are yellow based. I do have yellow undertones in my makeup. But like the show was called Tokiho, and it was at a club called Arc that's now closed because of COVID. But the show was like, it wasn't like nothing to laugh at. It was like very serious, very fierce. And we were literally playing to our audience. Upstairs at Arc, it was a heavily Asian audience. And like the show was like so popular, it went for like almost a year and a half. And like, it's just so funny that like go and do Drag Race and then people like try and pull up from the past. But like with me, I'm proud of the show that we put on because we weren't making fun of anything. It wasn't a laugh at Asian culture. It was just putting strong characters on stage and doing a fierce show. And like I've seen things like on like Facebook recently of like people getting in like kimonos and like Asian like outfits and then going out into the public and just white people walking past and like, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, and like just calling them out. But then they'll go over into like Chinatown or wherever, and everyone's like applauding them because they look amazing in their garments. So I feel, I don't know, like it's just, I feel like everything has a context, and until like that line is crossed, being a person of like who does have a culture of my own, who like is not white, I feel like there's context with everything, and if people like are being being about something, then they should be held accountable. But like, if I wish that I had footage of the whole show just to show people how amazing it actually was, rather than just like a tiny little snippet that was still pretty fierce, because I wouldn't have posted it on my Instagram if it wasn't. But yeah, I like, and even in the comments of like my thing, like I had so many people trying to defend me, and I did start deleting people's comments because I was like, it's like, 1, you don't know me. 2, you don't know what you're talking about. 3, fuck you.
I think it was definitely, I think definitely the whole sort of cultural appropriation and what's appropriate and what's not is definitely, it's a conversation that needed to happen. I think at the moment it's still, the lines are blurred about what's okay and what isn't. I think.
And I feel like it still definitely does need to be spoken about, because like at the end of the day, like it's just clothing. It's something we taken off and be put it on, but it's the meaning behind things that I think we need to be more wary of.
Well, thank you for speaking about it. I think it's definitely a difficult topic, and I think the fact that you were kind of willing to talk about it is at least, you know, that shows that you're sort of mature enough about it that you can talk about it. So
totally, yeah. I think this is my first time actually talking about it out loud.
Well, I got an exclusive.
Totally.
Well, speaking of rumours, this one isn't about you, but there is another rumour I just wanted to put to you. They kind of talked about this on the second season of Drag Race Down Under, but there's this really big rumour that they say that RuPaul was not actually there and that he was green screened in for the entire thing. What can I ask what your opinion on that is?
I I love it so much. Like, and like after our season was like released, so many people kept on like asking me, like, oh my God, like, was RuPaul really there? Was it green screened? But like, yeah, she was like absolutely there. But like, I was just sick of the question and just started telling everyone, oh my God, she was green screen. Like, could you imagine like someone like holding up a tennis ball? Like we had to talk to the tennis ball. Like that, like she wasn't even really there. Like just throwing people's heads in. So dumb.
funny. I could kind of see why people thought it, because there were a few moments where I was like, it does look a bit of a weird angle that they keep flicking to RuPaul but never showing you both in the same
The crazy thing is like when you're in the room with her, like, so there's like half the cast on one side, half the cast on this side. So when RuPaul's talking, she doesn't make eye contact with anyone. She just like looks like dead straight ahead and like just delivers her lines. And it's such an energy to like walk into the room. Like the first time when we were standing around the table and they were like, okay, like RuPaul's gonna walk in like any second now. So like act like you're having a conversation and then be surprised when she walks in. And we're like, yada, yada, yada. And then the alarm would go off. I'm like, oh, and like everyone like turn around and she wouldn't walk in. We're like, oh, okay. And then like a little bit later, she does like walk in. We're like, oh my God, like it was such like, ooh, like I've seen you on the TV. Like, what is going on now? You're here in front of us. So strange.
Yeah, it was a funny rumor, but I always thought, well, I don't think she'd be green screening. I think that would be more work than actually just flying her out there.
It would be more work, yeah.
Okay, so the name of my channel is Drag Tea Served. So I was wondering if you could serve us some drag tea served, some stuff that happened maybe backstage that we don't know about, or a moment that maybe happened that you wish had been shown.
I guess with like on the last episode that I was on, the scene challenge, I don't know if they showed it, but Anita isn't the best at dancing. So and etc. is very like over opinionated. So Scarlet would be coming up with choreography and then she'd feed it to etc. who would then feed it to me. And then I would go over it and over it and over it with Anita to make sure that she was comfortable enough with it. So like in teaching Anita, I kind of like didn't like take care of myself enough as I did her. And I wish that was like kind of like, not that it would have like made a difference or anything, but it would have been cute to have let everybody know how much of a nice person I can be.
Yeah, that would have been a nice. They didn't know. They didn't show that. They only made out like Scarlet and et cetera, were kind of the choreographers, and they were kind of fighting over who was going to be the lead. And then you and Anita kind of just stood there. But it's interesting to hear that there was more to it than they showed.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get onto some subscriber questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I had lots and lots of questions for you. This question is technically a question, I suppose, but a lot of people said the same sort of thing. They said, Coco's face is incredible. It's youthful, clear, and has a glow to it. What is her skincare regime?
Oh my God, I now use all of Rihanna's Fenty, like all of her like face washes and everything. Her moisturizer is amazing. Even like out of drag, like the glow that it gives you is just, mwah, I love it. Everything, I want it all. I don't even think I have the full collection yet, but I can't wait to.
Well, you definitely did have a glow on drag, and even RuPaul said, you're a gorgeous girl, because you were like, your face was always like beat, you always looked so good. So I always thought you looked very fresh-faced.
Thank you. I'm naturally oily. So I guess it just comes out of the pores and gives me that gorgeous glow.
Natural beauty. Someone asked, when do you film the confessionals? Is it right after filming every episode or the day after? This question has been on my mind ever since I started watching Drag Race.
Oh my God. It's the day after in the morning before you do anything. And like with us, like we couldn't even get coffee because there was too many people in the cast to do coffee like orders and everything. And I was like, and like I'm the type of person who like like with my banking, I transfer like my pay from like one account to my card account. So like in the mornings, like I couldn't go like downstairs to the I forget what they're called, like the people that were helping us. I couldn't go to them with like my card and be like, hey, like, can you give me a coffee or anything? And so like the struggle of not having a coffee or even a cigarette, and then just being like told to like just sit down and remember the things that happened the day before and talk about in like present sense. Oh my God, impossible. I had to keep on asking them like, okay, can you start the conversation and I'll end it?
Yeah, I always thought, I've heard that from other people that they film it afterwards. And I always think that's such a weird thing to have to talk about something that you already know has happened as if you don't know what's happened.
Yes.
Like when people say, I'm going to stay in this lip sync, like I'm not going home, but you must know that you did go home.
Yeah, exactly. And like with the season 2 kids, like the ones that are like faux fur, like she went home on the first episode, but I wish I could have like told them like the secrets of that happened like of season 1. But like, I guess like they were just so focused on like staying true to the NDA and like not telling anyone, like not speaking about it, and yeah, like, she didn't even like ask about like what was going on. But like you have to do this, like make sure you got money for coffees each morning or something. Take a diary with you.
Yeah, it must be so difficult. I think it's such a weird thing to have to do, but I guess that's Drag Race, right?
Totally.
So someone else asked, if you had been judging season 1, who would have been your top 4 queens?
Ooh. I think it would have been the same, but if Art didn't come back, I thought etc. would have been there.
That's a fair shout.
That was a shock as well. Bloody Maxi sending home etc. Can't. And I remember like backstage, etc. was like I'll pray for anyone who gets put in the bottom with me with absolutely everybody, because that's one of my regular numbers and I do that all the time. So like, be careful. She was so cocky about it, and then she gets on with Maxi and Maxi pulls out a microphone like, you're done.
Yeah, it was the microphone bit was so funny, and when she pulled the microphone, I was like, yeah, she's staying. So
yeah, totally.
Someone else asked, were there any reads that you had prepared for the reading challenge that you would have used if you'd made it?
Not really. I one of like the only ones I could think of would have been for Ketamine. And it just would have been, hey Ketamine, I love doing Whale Rider. Which is like some New Zealand movie, like about like a kid and like this whale. Oh, actually, it's been so long since I watched it. I think I watched it for like year 7 English, and yeah, very traumatic.
Someone else asked, did appearing on Drag Race Down Under live up to your expectations?
Well, like the thing is, I didn't have any expectations, and I definitely didn't know what to expect. But like afterwards, I guess like my life has changed so much, because like before going on Drag Race, I hadn't traveled around Australia. I hadn't done like drag in like different states. And now like I've been to Melbourne, I've been to Perth, I've been to Brisbane, and I've been to Adelaide in South Australia. I don't know if there's any other states. Oh, actually, I haven't been to Tasmania. But and I went to Brazil for Sao Paulo Pride this year. And like that definitely wouldn't have happened if I didn't go on Drag Race. And it's just such a crazy thing that like, just because I was on this TV show and I didn't even win, but like afterwards, I guess like being on the show is winning, because without the show, I wouldn't have been like on people's radars, like to get me to go to these places and get to do what I love doing most.
Definitely. I think it clearly opens doors for you that wouldn't have opened otherwise. And I think that's obviously great. And it definitely, RuPaul's Drag Race has created so many careers, not only for the queens, but also anyone that works for you, people like me that have channels about it. Like, we all benefit from it. So
yeah, it's nuts.
Someone else asked, would you ever return for an All-Stars?
I totally would. I feel like the first time's like always a little bit like touch and go. Like now I kind of like know how it like all kind of works. I reckon I definitely wouldn't be so shy. I'd definitely go in more prepared if like my my costume maker isn't too busy with Maxie's outfits. I'd have a full team of people ready to go. And yeah, I'm just waiting for the phone call.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd love to see you on All Stars. And I think definitely that point about this, the first time was almost like the warm up. And let's hope that if you get an All Stars, that would kind of be where you actually get to show your real side, because you've kind of got used to it a bit more.
Totally. I mean, I don't have the All Stars face yet, but we're still working on it.
Yeah, a little bit of filler, you know.
Totally. Come on, All Stars.
So true. Well, thank you very much. I'd love to get on to my quick fire round of questions. It's just 5 quick questions. Some are drag related, some are not. But it's just sort of like quick fire, first answer that comes to your head.
Let's go.
So, lipstick or lip gloss?
Lip gloss for sure. I love it.
Yes or no, pineapple on pizza?
Oh no! Even though yes. Publicly, I don't want to say yes, but yes.
Favorite emoji?
Oh, I love the laughing with the water thing, like the awkward laugh, I call it. Like
Cocktail or champagne?
Oh, cocktail for sure. Absolutely.
And can you summarize your drag race experience in one word?
God, incredible, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't know. I suck at words, as RuPaul said for the singing challenge. But yeah, incredible. It was amazing.
Incredible is a great word, and I think we would agree that that's how we saw you in your time on Drag Race. Thank you. So, can you sort of tell, where can people find you? You know, social media, and can you sort of tell us a bit about what your next project is?
Well, I do have a little project that's coming out with one of the season 2 races that you'll have to keep an ear out for, but I can't tell too much about it. And I'm even doing a little something with Karen from finance as well. But until then, if you want more news on that, you'll have to follow me on Instagram at _Coco Jumbo.
Great. I'll put it up on screen. Thank you so much, Coco, for being on my channel. I've loved speaking to you. I loved you on the show, and it's so nice to get to meet you and hear a bit more about your time on the show and some backstage tea. So thank you so much, and I hope we see you again on All Stars or whatever it is that you're doing.
My pleasure, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, y'all.